It's Luna the Zen Witch here. And it's Friday. Happy Friday. It's Oracle Unboxing Day. Today we are looking at the Gospel of Aradia. And I want to do a little smoke cleanse and an offering. And I'm shooting this just after solstice, which, oopsie, I wanted to live stream. There were 3 weeks in a row that I haven't done kept my live stream commitment. So it's been crazy. Everything is retro. And for the first time, I'm not like ahead of myself with content. So you're actually going to see this like right after I shoot it. Hold up. This is what it's been like. How slow has your brain felt? Look, I'm trying to light and it's barely, but that's okay. All right. Smell it. If you've got some, light it. You should, before you sit down to one of my videos, light some sage. When you smell it, your reptile brain, the deepest part of your mind, is connected to the sense of smell. And when smells get in there and associated with certain states, they're very powerful memory triggers. So for good or for bad. So when you do ritual and have wonderful ecstatic times and you burn the same types of things, I know I've told you before, that's the smell of ritual is frankincense and myrrh and sandalwood and amber and sage and stuff. Anyway, to the Gospel of Aradia by Stacey DeMarco. Artwork by Jimmy Manton, published by Blue Angel. The story of Aradia is steeped in mystery. Was she a goddess or a flesh and blood woman? To some, she was the first witch, to others, the leader of a resistance movement, and still to more, a wise teacher with female disciples. A spiritual mentor and a powerful role model for women to aspire to, Aradia traveled throughout medieval Italy and Europe, teaching the ways of the divine feminine. Through this exquisitely illustrated deck, you will walk hand in hand, heart to heart with Aradia, and be guided into the rich sacred world of her gospel. It is a journey to rediscover, strengthen, and empower the real you as you connect with the inspiring stories that form her legacy. Aradia's truth, compassion, and ancient wisdom have the power to transform our greatest fears into love and our most worrying obstacles into opportunities for growth and joy. Step into the world of stregoneria. Stregoneria. I imagine that's stregoneria, the ancient Italian witchcraft tradition, and connect with those who have danced under the moonlight with flowers in their hair and risked everything to remain true to themselves. Let your wild divine self out to play. The Gospel of Aradia is full of blessings, extraordinary magic, and wisdom. Come take the hand of Aradia and dance. This is copyright 2016. So, as usual, I have opened and used this deck. And I don't know why just the white piece of paper in some things, but there it is. Then we have a book, stiff cover paperback, and then the cards. And I, as I said, have used these a couple times, and I did not put them back in order. They are in alphabetical order, so there's no like meaning progression through, the order of them. So I just didn't take the time to put them back. Oh, they're jumping already. The shadow just jumped off the top. I want to show you the backs of the cards. The A on the back. Look at that beautiful design. That appeals to me tremendously. And lovely. And so, directional, you can tell when they're upright. So let's start right there, when they just come flying off. And my intent tonight was to later do a reading with this and just ask, what do we need to know right now? And this is June of 2020. What do we need to know? What does anybody watching this video, whenever they're watching it, need to know? There's a big one. And this card is called Shadow. The Shadow. Umbra. Okay. As you see the shadow there. We all have a shadow side. Find balance in all things. Rest in the positive aspects of your shadow like you would rest in the void of the dark moon. Some events and people have a long dark shadow over future happiness. Shine a light on a dark situation. Is your shadow actually your strength? Well, I'll give you my opinion on that. It's kind of like when you break a bone. And in order to heal the bone, your body lays down layers of bone, layers and layers and layers, to the point where the place where it was broken becomes stronger than it was to begin with. So, you know, when you have your karmic patterns, what we're talking about here is your karmic patterns. The shadow is karma. It's stuff that needs to be brought to consciousness so that you can work it out. You bring it in unconsciously. It's energy that draws you in a particular direction so that you learn something. And so when you give those areas attention, when you trip over the same pattern again and again and again, your karmic lessons are presenting themselves to you. And so when you find yourself saying, how did I do this again? I thought I dealt with it, but stop. Okay. It's not a mistake that you're doing it again. We learn in cycles and spirals. So, but when you finally turn around and look at that shadow and accept it and accept responsibility for it and heal it and work with it and integrate it, then that becomes a strength, because you really know the whole journey of that particular thing, you know, whether it's a trauma, you know, that particular lesson, whether it's a lesson of self-esteem or, I mean, that's kind of a basic one in almost everything. So, that's my opinion there. Then we have a verse. The shadow looms dark, the shadow looms long. Its siren call beckons, it sings its seductive song. You may not see it within you. It hides away in the blind spot. Behind you, within you, squeezing your will in a knot. So the seductive song, the shadow is those things, yeah, I mean, the blind spot, oh, absolutely exquisite. I have described this way. When my Neptune square gets activated, or Neptune opposition, it's like I can almost feel myself going blind. I have gotten hoodwinked more than twice by Facebook ads of a company by not like vetting a company before I hit the purchase button. And this has happened to me a few times. And the last time it did, it was like immediately I felt it. It's like, oh, I can feel myself go blind with these ads. So it is that blind spot, and it takes you to your lessons. You know, it really takes you to your lessons. And the lesson for me there is just that seeking for something outside to fill something inside. So anyway, yeah, wonderful. And squeezing your will in a knot, what's in the subconscious is what is driving everything. And until you bring it into consciousness, you're going to be tripping. It's going to take you to your lessons. You're going to keep tripping over them. There was I can't remember who said it. It was something like, or if it's part of a particular religion's doctrine or something, but it was like, what if you don't bring forth what's in you will kill you. If you do bring forth what's in you will heal you. Something like that. I don't know. I could be way off. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Let me know down below if it does. I'm going to give a little bit of Fire of Azrael. I don't want to wait any longer before making an offering to this deck. All right, and then I'm going to finish reading this. People may run from just the idea of working with their shadow. Truth, it hurts. But our shadow is not always negative. In fact, it can be the very aspect of ourselves that makes us unique and wonderful, even if others do not always appreciate this part of us. It's the part of you that's been denied, becomes the shadow. The part that hasn't been embraced, the part that hasn't been healed, the part that's been denied is the shadow. Seen from the perspective of the dominant and dominating culture in which Aradia lived, one could say that as a witch, her shadow was implicit and big. However, this was entirely subjective. What a larger society of the time perceived as her dark shadow was both part of Aradia's own power and an aspect of herself she used to empower other women. The spread of witchcraft. We can take a lesson from this and examine our own shadow from different perspectives. Doing so can help us to be more objective about our shadow side and allow us to distinguish between its positive and negative aspects. The dark of the moon is the lunar aspect under which to delve gently and safely into work with your shadow side. Okay. So let's look at the rest of the deck. So, what a perfect time to deal with this stuff, but Mercury retrograde and retrograde season when we have so many planets going retro. Cheers. I have some brandy tonight. Caramely. So when Mercury is retro in particular, because this is our the functioning of mind, the way information moves through, and it's just really hard to think in practical terms. Everything gets really nebulous. I find myself just getting really I just don't want to talk to anybody. I just don't have words. I'm not going to try to push them out my mouth. But it is a very, very good time to be introspective and to dig more deeply into patterns and issues and karmic things and, put paid to some karmic contracts and stuff like that. So anyhow, here we go. Night Women. Let's just talk about the beautiful artwork right off the bat. Secrecy. And there's an Italian word underneath that I don't think I'm going to wrestle with. Let me turn on my light. Clandestinitas. Clandestinitas. The Queen, Regina. I'm not going to do the Italian, sorry. The Queen. And the images are very soft. The artwork is soft. The coloring is soft. Taboo. Got a poppy there. Truth. Is that light too much? Maybe that's better. Okay. Vows. Oh, look at that hand fasting cord. But when you hand fast, your hands are like this. You join right hands and you join left hands, so it's like this, and it makes an infinity sign. And you bind those together like that. At least in my tradition. Escape. Sisterhood. They're very warm. I love the faces. You know how much I love when I can feel emotion that's going on in someone, in their face. The Gospel. Fortune. Divinity. Creation. Oof. Hello. Reconciliation. That's a lovely image. You'd certainly feel it. Ecstasy. Yes, I feel these cards. The unknown. Ritual. Fight. Synergy. Peacemaking. La luna. Strega. Okay, interesting, because strega is an Italian word for witch, right? But this is Italian here, and the Italian down below says Pythonissa. Pythoness. the Pythia. The Oracle, the Hedge. Resistance. Curses. Maledicta. Pilgrimage. Dreams. The Masculine. Give me a man with antlers on his head. Hierarchy. Okay, this looked a lot like, what was the other one? Where did you go? Here. Okay, the Unknown and Hierarchy. Very similar. Okay, Union. Fecundity. The Feminine. Games. And blood. And of course we had the shadow. So an interesting range. Not typical. There's some atypical things in here. Let's look at the book. And Aradia, there was a book written in the late 1800s called The Gospel of Aradia by Leland. And it was, I have a copy of it, but I've never read the entire thing. And it's been a long time. It was like back in the 80s. But this is where the witchcraft, the Strega tradition came from, is this book. And of course, as the deck, I think, said on the back, was she a real woman or was she, whatever, who knows. But that's the origin, is that Gospel of Aradia. This deck is dedicated to those still walking the witch's path, one of the most ancient on earth. We are the ancestral children of the witches they could not burn. Got that right. Okay. An introduction, how to use this deck. And look what's the first card in there. Fascinating. Okay. So it's an introduction to Earth religion. In the beginning, the mythos of Aradia. Aradia's good and compassionate works, and this mythos, so talks about the origin of her tale. She walked thousands of miles in Diana's service, so it was the priestesses of Diana. How to use this deck. How to dedicate it. Spreads, the single card spread, a goddess and god, a 2-card spread. So main issue and action to take. The Maiden Mother Crone, a 3-card spread, the original source of the issue, what can be done to better the situation now, what is the lesson of the situation. I think I might go for a goddess and god. Here's a little verse. Diana, moon, bright mother of all, Aradia, from whom all witches spring, bless my divination, only truth please bring. And there's a flower, a 6-card spread. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 is the situation as it is, also the goddess who's most likely to be of assistance. What caused the situation? Obstacles blocking resolution. What will happen on resolution? Action to take for resolution, and additional action to take for resolution. Then we have the Evil Eye spread, a 7-card spread. You've got the situation as it is now, why the negative energy was cast, how the energy is affecting you, how the energy affects others, what or who is the source, an immediate remedy to protect yourself and ease any pressure, and 7 is what you can best use to reflect and protect yourself to ensure this does not happen again. I like these readings. Oh, and then we have Aradia's Journey spread, a 13-card spread. I am not going through all those. There's a lot. Find the following information for each card. The title translated into Latin, a summary of the card's meaning, a traditional rhyming verse inspired by the theme of the card, a detailed description of its role and function. Card illustrations were created specifically to evoke emotion, sensation, or a change of state of mind or emotion. Okay. So, haven't given her a drink of water yet. Let's put a little bit more. I'm learning to put just a little bit on. I usually put these great heaping piles and then I choke myself out. So I'm not going to do that this time. It's a little too large of a deck to shuffle this way, but I'm going to try because that's what I like to do. Not bad. Nice sound. I think it's worth the trouble. They say that shuffling a deck like this 7 times is the most complete mixing you can have. I'm not doing it 7 times. I'll do it 3 times. You know me and my 3s. I like my 3s and my 3 times 3s. Okay. Once more. Oh, okay. They came undone, so I'm going to let them be undone. And then I want 2 off the top, please, Goddess and God. Okay. Here is the Goddess, the Queen, Regina. Become the queen of your own life. Decisions are yours and yours alone. Discover your area of expertise and your unique wisdom. Your role in life may have recently become more challenging. A dominant woman is the cause of your misfortune or your delight. With great power comes great responsibility. And I will read the verse. I bow to her of silver and of gold, the queen of all spheres, the one who was foretold. It takes more than blood to be a queen. A crown of strength and wisdom, as well as of ruby, diamond, and aquamarine. Okay, so the Queen, she's talking about power, and the titles of Diana, Queen of the Moon. The Queen is, let's see, talking about a girl changing into married woman. I think, becoming a queen is about ascending into power, stepping into your own power. And the Goddess and God talked about the way things are, or what needs to happen, and then how. And we have secrecy. Well, okay, everyone has their secrets, but there are few that time won't ultimately reveal. Some things must be kept secret for one's own or another's protection. If someone trusts you with the secret, keep it. Confidentiality may be an issue at this time. Gossip cannot survive honest questioning. Shame, it is an ugly thing. Within, fear hides its face. It buries freedom and an innocence, and truth sinks without a trace. Yet secrecy can treasures protect, can yield a protective spell. We hold back what is most precious, so what is precious may not dispel. Okay. So it talks about the shame type of secrecy and the bad type of secrecy, but then the good type of secrecy too. And I'm getting this, the Queen and coming into this feminine power and secrecy as just, when I was initiated, one of the rules was never boast, never threaten. And when you are secure in your power, you don't have to threaten because you don't feel threatened yourself. There's a sense of security there. So talking about coming into your power and that witchy power. And, another thing is, and I was this 100%, when you really start learning and you start experiencing your own magical power, and it's a real thing, when you experience it as a real thing, you want to tell everybody, You just want to tell everybody. And on the one hand, if there's a person that understands, that gets it, that you can share it with, because you can never relate that experience directly to somebody. It doesn't live in this realm. So trying to put it into words, poetry is as close as you get. Poetry, music, the arts, right? Channel it that way. But trying to just describe it to somebody is it's going to water it down, and it can kind of water it down for your own mind. It's sort of better to, and I say this as somebody that tells you all these experiences I've had, but back when, and I still have them today. Still, there is a kind of secrecy that keeps something just sort of precious to you. It was sort of like when I first went to Starwood, and no photography allowed. You had to be registered and have permission to take photographs, because clothing optional, campgrounds and whatnot, and pagans. And this was back in the 80s, when things weren't so loose in terms of that. And so everything that happened there, and it wasn't, we didn't have computers in our hands, so people weren't there taking pictures of everything. And those times, they just have to live in your mind. Those experiences just have to live in your mind. And when you have something like that happens on an unconscious level, ritual and magic happen on that subconscious, and that liminal place between subconscious and conscious, and when you let them live in that place, there's something really special about it. And again, and you can use that to motivate you to create great art. That's the nature of inspiration. So anyway, I also think about, witches gathering in groups, keeping it on the down low as I blast it out to the world. So yeah, interesting. I mean, I feel the vibe of this oracle, and I won't tell you why. But I have an intimate relationship there that I certainly can feel. And I wanted to show you, hold on. This is Aradia, the Gospel of Witches by Charles G. Leland. So here's what it says. Aradia, Gospel of the Witches, a most influential and remarkable book, is the forerunner and one of the key sources of the modern witchcraft revival. This work, written during the late 1800s, was the result of a 10-year friendship between Leland and Madellana, M-A-D-E-L-L-A-N-A, Maddalena. I'm going to call her Maddalena. A semi-literate peasant woman born of an Italian witch family, by presenting a strange and interesting mixture of Italian witchcraft doctrine. Aradia opened the door to a hidden world. In the words of author Doreen Valiente, a picture emerges from it of an ancient and secret cult, La Vecchia Religione, the old religion, with its distinctive beliefs and practices time-worn until it has become like some ruined building of olden days with the last remaining stones gilded by the setting sun. I think I'm going to put this in the bathroom for slow reading. I do this thing, I think I've told you before, where, books that I've read a million times, like Mists of Avalon or Lord of the Rings, or, the Harry Potter stories, or just things that are kind of comfort food reading. Tom Robbins, all of those novels, Heinlein, stuff like that. I've read them so many times, and they're so good that, what I used to do is I'd go to reread it, and I just like eating junk food. I'm cramming it in. So I started doing a thing where, okay, I'm going to reread that book, but I'll put it in the bathroom, and I'm only in there for a short time in the morning, and that's the time that I read. So I only read a little bit, and I read slowly. And it's been really interesting, especially with the ones that I've read so many times, novels that I've read so many times. You just start to savor the writing and the story a little bit more. So I think I'm going to put her in there and consume that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will be back on Monday with another Unboxing the Tarot. And I really appreciate your donations. I've gone on a bit of a spree. over the last month. I have bought a whole bunch of new decks, and some I'm really excited about. So you can look forward to those. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Come and hang out with me. I'm going to try to get back to live streams on Wednesday, but we'll see. Structuring is slow. I'm almost to 500, growing slowly and steadily. So I appreciate every one of you. I hope that you take care of yourselves during this Mercury retro. Revise, revisit, wash your hands. Black Lives Matter. I will see you later. This is the Zen Witch. Blessed be.